So I guess that we can start. Let me start by thanking you for coming, for being interested on this competition. This is, I have a presentation prepared, and uh, we will go through it. But at any time in point, please feel free to interrupt me, to ask me questions. This is not supposed to be extremely formal, because main point is in order to provide you with um, clarifications, with any sort of support, tips, or tricks that you might need in order to succeed in this competition. To start off, can you please write on the chat if you are here more for the ORD or the MIDP, so that I know if I can skip one or the other, or you can even unmute yourself. I believe you can do so. So this is the first, I must admit. So no one here from the ORD, apparently. So we can skip into the MIDP, which we will do in order to be efficient, and therefore we can have far more time to go over any particular elements that you might be more interested in. So Japanese, ORD, we can move along. So let us then go to the MIDP. So, backstory, just for us to be on the same page. This competition has been is GDN's longest project. It has been going on since the 2000s, and it is administered by GDN. But in all truthness, it is funded by the government of Japan through the World Bank. Over $4 million throughout the entire course of the competition. So since the 2000s has been provided to either research grants or development projects. So projects that support the most marginalized communities coming from the MIDP category, and they can last from 12 to 24 months. Always targeting LMICs. And what has changed from year to year is in terms of support to the awardees, because now instead of before only the awardee had a dedicated mentor, from the 2022 edition, we started providing as well a technical advisor that supports throughout the entire implementation, including at the very beginning, when there is the chance to refine the project. Although the project needs to have at least 6 months implementation, we do not fund new projects without anything already on the ground. There are three prizes, but two places. When I say this, is that we have two first prize winners that get each one of them gets 50,000, and one that gets 25,000. The one that gets 25,000 needs to scale down the project submitted initially in order to match the funding that has been made available, and this is done together with the advisors that will be appointed after the award is provided. What is important to highlight here is that those two first prize winners that receive 50,000, after at least 1 month of 1 year of implementation, they have access to a scale up grant of 200,000. So from 50,000 to 200,000, one of them will get them, so they will be again competing directly with one another to have access to that scale up grant. Why do we do this, or why do we feel that there's an impact? Well, we started from the get-go, or even before you apply, we would do these webinars in order to give you some tips on what we're looking for, and clarifying doubts. Because sometimes what it happens is that because some NGOs had not applied before to award schemes, they were not aware of this. So these webinars are precisely to help you on this, what you should think and what you should look at, so that it's helpful for this competition. But moving ahead, because the concepts per se are going to be applicable regardless if it's for GDAC or anything else, the award that comes, the training that you are provided for before presenting. So the final stage will be at the conference, and before going to present in front of the jury, there's a dedicated comms training in order to level up the playing field, because some organizations might be more prepared, have done it in the past, others have not, and therefore we want to for you to pitch and to have the greatest opportunity to succeed as any others that have more experience in this sort of environment than you might have. There's the pairing with an expert. We provide the scale up grants that the MIDP gets to scale up the initial project. The ORDs, so the ones that were awarded on the other category for research projects, will also be provided an additional grant to help the implementation of the scale up hand in hand, so that they can be there to provide more some guidance based on data, because they know they're more prepared for that. That's something that they're used to, something that they're trained, and therefore we want to stimulate these connections. And of course, since this has been going on for 2000s, that means that there's a lot of past grantees, and we are trying precisely to create here a vibrant community between one another, or between all the past editions, between all the past grantees, in order for them to work with one another, support one another, and eventually even apply afterwards, because their only previous winners cannot apply for 3 editions, but after 3 editions they can reapply. So maybe this can be also a prospect for future collaboration. Mhm. Okay, so diving in to what we're doing. Well, this year everything will be around the the sweet spots between digitalization, digital tools, and universal health coverage. This has been coming to the center stage more and more since COVID, because we were isolated, and therefore this needs to be something that is applied, and it is in place across the board, including, of course, on NLMICs in global south, because the world needs to, in order for the world to evolve together, we need to leverage up the playing field once again, using the same expression, because that's what we're trying to do. So this topic was selected because of the current trends, of the current importance, of how everything is turning digital, and therefore we want to, on the ORD side, innovative projects, innovative ideas that can lead to policy, while on the MIDP, we want to highlight, to bring to the forefront projects by NGOs that rely quite a lot in terms of an innovative idea on the field that is exactly a tool, a powerful tool to improve the access, the affordability, and the quality of the health services. Because the overall main goal, and you're going to see, and I'm going to see repeat myself, is in terms of the most disadvantaged communities, in terms of the benefits. How are all these concepts being implemented on the ground with a bottom-up approach, ideally, that is serving the marginalized communities to the most of its capacity. So this call, only NGOs, nonprofits are eligible to apply in LMICs, even if they come from a bigger. I've seen questions coming around of, oh, we're part of partners of a larger network. As long as you have your local entity or national entity in LMIC, you can apply, and as long as well as you're a nonprofit. You must identify and build a case for the change they seek to enable, and always um, aimed in order to protect and to benefit vulnerable individuals and communities. The examples, what I want to first point I want to really highlight is that the examples that we provided on the call, they're exactly that, examples. Do not think that this is a list of things that are eligible, only these. That is not true. We just wanted to provide some guidance in terms of what we could look for, and therefore you don't have to check at least one of these project examples that were placed there in total or partially. Okay, do not feel that obligation. Do not try to adapt the project that you have in order to fit these examples, because these are examples, something solely created to give some guidance for your work. What we do provide and what is required is that either of the projects aim and fit within the focus areas that were provided, either in terms of, because we're talking digital tools for universal health coverage. So in terms of access, in terms of making it equal, so that it's equity, so projects that do not create any the separation or unfairness, like to make it simpler and to make sure that everyone has actually access to it. So one is connected to the other in terms of behavior or attitudes, in terms of improving the living conditions. And I see a hand up, which I love. So please go ahead, Rama. Of
Hi, thank you so much for this presentation. I have
course.
a question about the focus areas. Our
Yes.
prospective project, is it supposed to cover all of these areas or do we focus on one specific area?
You can focus in one or more. It is up
Okay,
to you.
okay,
These
thank you.
the so what matters is that you look at the bigger picture, look at the bigger at the topic as a whole, and then see how it fits within one or more of the focus
Mhm.
areas.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay? You're very welcome. Anyone else that wants to, please copy, follow the lead from Rama, and feel free to raise your hands and let me know if you have any questions. So I'm not going to go through all of them because I want to be more available to provide you with time and space to clarify any doubts that you might have. And I will be providing this VPT to those that are here. But keep in mind, what I've done is that basically I selected information from the call for projects. So nothing that you're seeing here is new. It is there. I just compiled it, selected it in order for to be easy to share and for you to afterwards to even communicate within your team. Because I know that the documents can be long, and so it might be easier to have a VPT for that purpose. There's a set of eligible countries, as I said, LMICs, but of course the only note that I give is that there's a priority to be given, as it is written on the call, for those coming from low income countries, but that is not, do not think of that as that important or creating that much of a difference. This will basically be used when there's very close or a tie in the final score that emerges from the review process. Review process that is not done by GDN, as you'll see very shortly. Overall, key topics, key eligibility, country, making sure that this is not your project is not does not fit within the list of excluded of exclusion, which is part of the annex that I'm going to go through afterwards on this call for the sake of being making sure that it is clear for everyone involved. Must be an NGO or CSO, non-profit. Key term here is non-profit above anything else. The 3 years of previous winners, and please make sure that you are able to receive funds from abroad. So in the case of India, as an example, where our headquarters are, that you need to be FCRA registered and compliant. Um, we are putting this up from the very beginning because we want to avoid the situation where an award is given and then it needs to be withdrawn because you are not capable of receiving the funds. And this one is very uh, unfortunate for you, but it also is unfortunate for another applicant that might have had the opportunity to apply and then doesn't get it uh, because of that situation. So if you're not able to from the get-go, do not apply, because otherwise that can be lead to a problem and you won't have access. That grant will be canceled. And we've had a situation in the past. The list of excluded activities, as I said, on the MIDP on the call, but I put it here for ease of reference. And you also will have to uh, certify or declare, even before you have access to the MIDP call and templates on the portal, that your project does not fit into this list. This will be checked by the reviewers. This will be rechecked afterwards by the World Bank for due diligence. So please make sure that indeed you are not, because this will be checked by multiple people, and and you can be excluded at any point of the competition, including after the awards were announced, if it is found afterwards that indeed there is a problem with this. Again, not going to go through them. What I want to go through is to explain how this process goes. So, applicants, you have until June 18th to submit your application, your full application, including all the documents that are listed on the call for projects. And there's an eligibility that is done by GDN, and if needed be, a pre-selection of the proposals. On a 30, move to the desktop desk review stage, and therefore we are acting as the first, and we will spend a lot of time to ensure that indeed you are compliant with all the eligibility, and you might have the opportunity to clarify anything if we are in doubt, but we might not have time to go back to you to ask for clarifications if you do not provide everything from the get-go on the portal. A big tip and a big example that I can give to you where applications can be rejected or excluded from the get-go is if you don't provide the budget from last year's implementation. So the project is supposed to be ongoing, or it's a requirement that this project not be new. It needs to have implementation at least since June of last year, as you might recall. Therefore, there must be a budget or a report from the financial side on that project, not on the organization, not on the project that you're proposing for this year, but on the project for the implementation of last year that must be uploaded. And what happens quite a lot of times is that we have NGOs that upload their audit from last year in terms of the entire NGO, or repeat the project, the budget of 50,000 for the award into that field, and end up being rejected. So ensure that you have two budgets that are there. One of them is for the implementation of last year, and the other is for the implementation of the project that you are proposing to do. So one is up to, I don't know how much it was used, and the other one is up to 50,000. And there are absolutely no advantages on proposing a budget for 40,000 instead of 50,000 from the get-go. Carla, please
Yes.
go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I have two questions. The first would be related to the budget. We have a project that concluded in the year 2023, meaning our partnership with the funding partner concluded that in that year 2023. But the community which uh, still implements the project is still continuing up to this moment. What budget may we share or submit from last year? Can it be the community's own expense and income budget or operating
Yes,
budget?
it can be that for the project. And thank you for the openness and transparency, because uh, don't be afraid to precisely claim that, because in a
Yes.
way, but also, uh, be sure that you show why you are applying, right? Because one
Yeah.
question that will be raised is, so this project has been on the ground without
Yeah.
your financial support. So why do you need the funds now?
Yeah. Okay. We'll try to cover that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or should I
keep
answer
in mind.
now? No.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, but put that
Yeah.
on show it. My advice to you and to others that might be in the same
Yes.
situation is then you show that you're trying to innovate what you
Yeah.
already demonstrated that is a success story on the ground.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Can I also ask my second question?
Yes, of course,
Yeah.
please.
Can one NGO submit one proposal under the MIDP window and another proposal under the ORD window for this cycle?
You may. I have not seen that done, but you
Okay.
may. You definitely can do it. Just you probably will face an issue when applying. I'm talking about a limitation on the platform because when you apply, you indicate if you're going for, as an individual or
Right.
as an organization.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
probably
Okay.
if you apply as an organization from the get-go,
It's yes.
when you go to the funding opportunities, you're not even going to see the ORD call. So
Right.
I
Right.
would suggest that you apply on the MIDP with the email of the project director,
Yeah.
so the one
Uh-huh.
leading in terms of development projects, and another person that
Right.
registers as the uh, PI, as a project investigator.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I understand. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Just yeah, you're non-profit, right? Just that's
Yes.
a double check.
Non-profit. Yes. Non-profit.
Okay, good, good. Because on the IMIDP, we look into the project, into the organization, while on the ORT, we look into the profile of the PI and the rest of the team. The
Okay.
organization is there for due diligence more than anything else.
Yes. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anyone else? No? Okay. So let's continue then. Um, dun, dun, dun. So 30 people move and actually go into the desk review. And I strongly encourage you to pay attention to the call. You know, there are some details there that are quite interesting in terms of what is assessed and what are the criteria that are looked into at each stage, because you need to ensure that that at the desk review you actually make the case for your project, so that you can move along to the business review that goes more into in depth into the innovation, not the innovation but the implementations of the project itself, and looking into as well the cost efficiency, and a final one where depending on the location of the different finalists, we can you can have site visits in person or have them done virtually. And the final stage is done by a checking by the World Bank in terms of that excluded lists and other activities, following the norms of the World Bank. And what I meant, wait, is that you have the information from the get-go in terms of what the reviewers are going to look at and when they are going to look more particularly into each of this of the into at each stage of the evaluation process. So I strongly, deeply advise you to look into it. And my biggest advice is this. This is the criteria. You have exactly the questions that the reviewers take into consideration when they are going through the application. And what I'm saying to you is that you are not expected to at any point in time to reply directly to these questions, but as in any other evaluation cycle, the reviewers need to understand how are we evaluating, what are we looking for, and these questions you will see them throughout the application form, indicated as a guiding question of specific text boxes. You need to ensure that you are replying to those questions while not putting them in the text field and replying to it as if it is someone in front of you asking you to answer it. The point is that the reviewer is able to understand that you can process those questions, the expectations of that field, and still reply and still provide answers that are sufficient and to make them understand what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to how you are proposing to succeed, and how are you going to approach each item and approach the implementation and involve the beneficiaries into the project itself. So big tip again is look into the guiding questions, and we're going to go through the template in a little while. Go through the template, the application, the, the application itself, see the guiding questions, and do make sure that you are covering them to ensure that nothing is lost and to ensure that you are not losing points by not having a check on that specific expectation from us. So again, not going to go through all of them, but it is I wanted to provide you with a PPT that had them so that you could easily share and think about your project and see if you are answering these. Okay, but that was the review by the by the reviewers. But then finalists go to the conference, and we have three finalists, because we have two first prize winners and one second prize winners, and then a jury is convened, and they will simplify the evaluation process because you already went through a very long one, and you already received a lot of feedback and comments from the reviewers, comments and an assessment that regardless if advancing to the final stage or not, you will get it. All you need to do is come to us, and we always have prepared from the reviewers some feedback so that you will learn something from this process rather than just setting up an application. And they will look into the key aspects of at the final stage. The jury will look into the key aspects of the project. So how innovative is it? How it is well structured in terms of the objectives, the activities, and the impact of it. Social impact from it. So beneficiaries, how much this is benefiting and improving their quality of life. How it is it capable and prepared to be expanded, to be replicated, to be put into a different scale, because when you apply for the first prize, and if you apply for the first prize, it makes you eligible for the scale-up grant. So we need to understand it from the get-go, because you might be very good but not have the opportunity or have thought of or make it clear how this can be scaled up, go from 50 to 200,000. So in one criteria, you might be putting yourself down and immediately setting yourself up for the second stage, for the second prize. And how feasible it is. How feasible it is. And of course, how you present the project. That's why we have that comms training before. That's why we bring the finalist, the project director, into the conference into the conference in order to be prepared live towards the official presentation in front of the jury. And by the way, small note here: the conference this year is going to be in Clermont-Ferrand, France, from the 28th until the 30th. So we will be flying in, sponsored, of course. The finalist, the project director, or the representative from the project, whoever the team appoints to be there to present it. And will the training will most probably take place 2 days before, so 26th and 27th of October in Clermont-Ferrand, France. I would go into the MIDP reviewers, but I don't believe that we have anyone here that is currently interested on that. Therefore, I am just gonna stop here and open the floor for questions, and then we can go into the template if needed be, or even if you need me to go through the platform in case you have any doubts. So the time is yours. I wanted to hear from you. What would you think? What would you like to hear? What do you want to see clarified? Don't be shy. You can even unmute yourself and move along. Prama, please.
So I'm wondering about, so you said that this project is funded by the World Bank and then Japan as well, and then the headquarters are based in India. So the jury and the reviewers for this project, are they a mix from all those countries, or how are the reviewers, um like, I want to say
Selected.
that, how are they selected, and how, like, is it a diverse range of people that are going to be reviewing our projects, or is it
So
maybe
two there's two elements
biased
here.
to one country? Yeah.
There's two elements. In terms of the reviewers, so up until the finalists are selected, this is done by an external company. So there's an open call currently for entities, consultants, consultancies, external reviewer teams that apply, that need to demonstrate that they have a regional experience. They've worked in multiple areas of the world. They've worked in development
Mhm.
projects and on the topic in order to do that selection. So those are, there's not a direct relation to where GDN is based, which is in India and France and in the US, or the World Bank or the government of Japan. There's no relation whatsoever. At the final
Okay.
stage, then we have representatives from the World Bank as part of the jury, and then experts on the topic from the development sector that can be, or one at least will be also come from Japan, and then from our side, GDN will have our president to do the final evaluation. I hope I
Okay.
answered your question.
Yes, yes, you did. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Additional questions? Anything on the Victoria? I see you unmute yourself.
Thank you. So my name is Victoria from Kenya. So my question is on the ORD. Sorry, I joined in a bit late. I wanted to confirm whether it's like, is it an individual application or I will need co-investigators, and perhaps how many would I require?
So on the RD, sorry, can you repeat the question? What exactly you need to understand?
Yes, I'm asking whether it is an individual application or perhaps if I need like co-investigators, and maybe what is the maximum number of
Yeah. Okay,
co-investigators.
got it. There, so we look into a mix. So it's a mix of both. So of course the PI has more weight on the final on the component of evaluating the capacity and feasibility to implement the project, but the team, of course, also takes a huge role on this. So if you go by yourself, you are evaluated by yourself. If you put your team, you're going to be evaluated as a mix, as together. And of course, then we look into the capacity and previous experience of the PI to manage a team. But those are minor details, to be honest. If there's a limit, there's no limit in terms of it, but ensure that you justify who these people are, uh, why they are needed, because the reviewers can ask, right? The reviewers are fully entitled to ask, so he need all these people, and who exactly is actually leading the project, and what is the impact of having so many people into the budget? Does that make sense to you, Victoria?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, just for this sake, you were not here, Victoria, but I will be sending as well the part of the ORD presentation, so that you have access to all the information the same way that there is for the MIDP.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so further questions. I'm here for that, so please don't be afraid. There are no stupid questions, and it's better that you ask now than to be surprised later on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for the presentation. So my name is Sia. I am based at in South Africa. I work for a company called Think. We had a project. Also, my question is really around the eligibility for us to apply for this. We had a project that ended last year, around actually this time, and we just wanted to find out if we would be eligible to apply for this, even though the project has ended.
Has ended, but it's still being on the ground somehow by the community or so, or what do you mean ended?
Well, so it has ended. It has ended at the community level, and also I think it's very similar to the question that Carla had. That project has ended. We no longer receive funds from the funder, and we've actually just concluded the entire project and wrote a closeout report and everything.
Okay, so why
Yeah.
would then you be applying for it with it?
Okay, so the reason why would would want to apply is to scale up the innovation. So what the project was actually was we were using the ChatGPT LLM model, so the large language learning model, to analyze public health data, and this was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and it was more of a proof of concept more than anything, and we did see good results, and we wanted to now replicate, or rather scale up the project, even though currently we don't have the funding for that.
Okay, so
Yeah,
and when did it end? And how
it
long
ended.
did it have of implementation?
It had an implementation of about 9 months, and it ended in June last year, to be precise.
Okay, so
Yeah.
in theory, I could see a way for it to be eligible because you had it
Mhm.
implemented and it was still within it. But you need to justify very well the
Mm.
component of it being frozen on the implementation. Let's put it as such.
Okay.
You need to
All right. Thank
justify
you.
it. You're welcome.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you so much.
Okay, so since I wanted to, because I have in front of me, the application template, and it is a Word file that is available on the website in case you want to work offline with your team. And so, as you can see, it is exactly the same form and exactly the same file that you see available. And what I wanted to highlight or to go through is what I was mentioning before of the guiding questions. See, for you on the application form, you're gonna see one field to exactly named like this, another field exactly named like this, with some guidelines, guiding questions that are described, and a maximum of words that is set up on each of them. And this is what I meant. Each field has a guiding questions to help you structure your answer. And we're not expecting, and I'm telling you to not simply, do this. Put this and start writing. Don't it? You have no advantage for this, and the only thing you've done is that you've wasted words, because these words will be taken into the maximum of that field. and you want this field to be filled with your content, with the items that you feel that are needed, that are important for the application, not to be wasted on repeating the content that is listed there. And also do not say that referring to the guiding question, there's absolutely no need, there's absolutely no advantage, there's absolutely no guidance provided by us in order to do that. The second point that I said was in terms of the budgets. One is for the current project or the project that was implemented uh, earlier, and the other is for the award that you're submitting. So you have two different items that need to be provided. One of them is a PDF or an Excel to be attached to the application to the portal. Another one is to be embedded into the portal, and they have to be different. Since I've never seen it that you have a project from implementation of last year that was exactly for 50,000, and you are submitting a project budget of exactly 50,000 again. I've never seen that happen. I find it very hard to believe that indeed that will take place again. And when the reviewer asks for proof, and if we're shown to not be accurate, or for the information that have been provided to not be truthful, you are deemed to be excluded. So please do ensure that that is properly done. You'll have time later on to restructure the budget if you are awarded, but this is the template structure of the budget so that we can compare it with one another, as you might understand. This is still a competition, so you will be indeed competing with others. For the ORD, the same principle in terms of structure is implied. The difference is that you will not have a project requested to upload a project from previous years, because this is an innovative and new idea. So the only thing you'll be doing is uploading or providing the budget for the research 30K on it. Highlight again, no advantage whatsoever, either for ORD or MIDP, to not make a budget, to not submit a budget that goes up to the maximum available on the first prize. So MIDP 50K, ORD 30K. Absolutely no advantage whatsoever on not using the full amount that is provided. Because you afterwards, in both cases, need to explain why. Why is this project? Why is this budget? Why did you put the big? I'm not going to be asking here to submit line per line a justification, but the rationale behind it. Explain the building of the budget, the big sections. Why you need an equipment, why you need supplies, why on meetings and training, and so on and so on and so on and so forth. For either ORD or timeline, what I tell you as well is that timeline, you put month 1, month 2, month 1, month 4. Do not strict this to January of 2026 or February or whatever, because we're gonna have if all goes well, we're gonna submit and start a project by January of next year, because the final selection will be by the end of November. Then we need to work together to identify the advisor, either both for ORD and MIDP. So generally speaking, the implementation tends to start during month January or February of 2026 in terms of the implementation per se, and that is the moment that you can start claiming expenses. So month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4 until month 12 or month 24 is the advised. ORD, so research projects, 12 months. The only way for you to have less time to implement it is in case you have the third or the seconds, and the amount of money funds that are made available forces, let's call it forces, for a very smaller implementation of the initial idea. Otherwise, 12 months is the minimum, and MIDPs, 12 months, the very minimum. We suggest or expect, we will hope that at least 18 months exist, but the minimum is 12, and for 24 is the maximum for the implementation of the project. Keeping in mind that after 12 months is when we kick off the call for the upcoming for the scale up grants, so the GSTF. Questions, concerns? Did I scare you? No? So I'll take the chance then to what I was telling before in terms of the evaluation. Recall, the reviewer assesses it in 3 stages. So initially, he looks into these items of the evaluation. So make sure that you are pay particular interest into that. I see some hands, I believe. Rahma,
So I wanted to ask for the budget. Are medicines also covered in it? Are we allowed to include those?
you are allowed to include whatever is needed for the project to succeed.
Okay.
Okay? Just ensure
Yes.
that you justify what is important and you justify how it is connected to the topic.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. More questions? So it seems that I lowered myself. Tell me, because I'm here for you. So maybe have you not started your application? You just wanted to start, and that's why you don't have questions right now? Or I was not clear enough and you do not do it. So, Carla, I take it that you are starting, so this was a scoping meeting for you.
Yeah, just read through the call for application. Call for application. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. And also note that you are on this one, but it does not mean that you cannot come into into upcoming ones. Because you might see exactly that you are this was scoping for you, this is to initiate, and as you go along with the writing of the proposal, you can come back and put them live, or you can always drop an email, either way. From now until then, my task is to ensure that you are prepared. The only thing I cannot do is to provide feedback on your proposal per se. But thank you for coming, and I'll see you again next time.